Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we dig in deep to analyze the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, 1 minute at a time. I'm Andy Nelson from thenextreel.com.
And I'm Pete Wright, also from The Next Reel.
We're back at the beginning of the whole MCU train, looking at Jon Favreau's 2008 film, Iron Man. And back with us is Jonathan and Tabitha Carlisle from UHF 62nd. Welcome back.
Hey.
Thanks for having us again.
Again.
I'm glad to hear you say that this is the beginning, because it is, but yeah, we're not the biggest fans of The Incredible Hulk, and I know that technically a lot of people include that in there.
It's the second film, though.
That's our season 2, so...
Yeah.
We are including it.
Have fun with that.
We'll see in Iron Man 2. Hey, before we get into that, can I just say about you guys, I can't believe it took me so long to actually arrive at this particular link at UHF62nd.com. That's UHF62nd.com. And then click on the Bob's Big Boy Chronicle.
Yeah. Yep.
Can I just have a few words about that? Because I am confused and delighted in all new ways. It's tickling a fancy that I didn't know I had.
Well, great. I'm glad somebody's visiting.
Oh, I'm in it. I'm looking at the first thing here where it's like there's a Bob's Big Boy that has been crushed, has fallen down because of the wind, and I'm deeply saddened. How did this little project start?
That was in our hometown, and it just happened one day. And so I swung by and took a picture, and I think I started on my own personal Facebook, just saying something about it. And then we were getting our website built, and I was like, well, we're not, as far as actually posting stuff at that time, like we're not really doing anything actively. So I just kind of like, I can make my own link and do my own thing. And every time I saw a Big Boy sign or something when I was out and about and I just felt the fancy, I would just take a picture and write some silly little post about it. So sometimes it's like a rhyming thing. I don't know.
I'm reading every word on the Big Boy blog. Well done.
Considering your love for the Big Boy, I'm surprised you haven't started jumping into like the Austin Powers minute or something.
Yeah, right?
Because Big Boy connects to that movie directly for me. I've never been to a Big Boy. I don't think I've ever actually seen a physical one. So
oh, wow.
Really?
But according to Austin Powers, but they're back. Or is that the second one?
Yeah, there's a Austin Powers minute active, so I did share some of my posts on their page.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But that's why it takes a while for UHF 62nd to come out, because
we keep getting distracted and doing other things.
They keep doing, and they're trying to just make things, fun and silly and little tidbits in here and there, and it'll be good when it actually comes out.
There's also, since we're talking about the website, there's also a link to our MySpace page, which actually exists. So
yes. I clicked there. I was going to get there at the end because I wanted to talk about that. But
okay.
There you go. You brought it up, and there is MySpace, and I'm on it.
Very popular right at the time of this movie was coming out. This year was pretty much the end of MySpace, 2008.
So good.
Well, we are getting back on track here, looking at Iron Man Minute 79. On today's show, the minute starts with father and son reuniting yet again, and it ends with Iron Man walking away from a tank. But no explosion yet. Is it going to blow up? We don't know.
Just hope all of his stuff works.
I know. This is kind of the continuation of, Tony as Iron Man has saved all of these villagers, and we have the happy reunion between father and son. You get the great sound design. This is just a film with fantastic sound design as Iron Man walks past the father and son. Then we get the reveal. This is kind of the end of Abu. He's frantically, I don't know who he's calling. I don't know if he's calling Raza. Is he calling his wife to say, I'm not going to be home for dinner? I don't know who he's calling, but he's frantically calling someone, and Iron Man rips him through a wall.
It's so good. Because by now, after the last 2 minutes, we've been able to come to terms with the fact that Abu is not kind grandpa. No. And now he meets a worthy end. But we also get the only line from RDJ in this sequence.
Is all yours.
Yeah.
boy, has he gone dark. I mean, he didn't burn the guy's face off with his Palm RT device, but still, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is a better end for Abu or worse, that he's kind of thrown in front of these civilians and then he just leaves them for him. I don't know if they're going to call the local authorities. Are they going to just go all crazy on him and just kind of beat him to death? I don't know what is going to happen here, but they certainly have a look for Abu, who's laying on the ground in front of them.
Yeah.
Well, and Abu has a look of expectation. He knows what's coming.
And you could see some feet starting to walk towards them.
Yeah.
They're at least going to lay hands on him and grab him, whatever they end up doing there.
Maybe we're missing out that, like, as soon as the camera cuts away, like, all of a sudden some music started and they all started doing like a big musical dancing number.
Maybe.
Yes. Maybe this is just like a terrorist intervention. Like they're going to come back and see if they could rehabilitate him. I'm sure that's what it was.
I like the idea that it's done with music. Like this is the musical people of Gulmira, and it's they solve all their problems through song.
The Gulmirans are an amazingly musical people. That's right. I think I've heard that.
I feel like that Jonathan is throwing this back to the Netflix Jackie Chan movie that we watched, Kung Fu Ninja.
Oh.
In the end, if you ever get a chance, it's funny because it is kind of like Jackie Chan's homage to India.
No. Oh, it's
Did I say it wrong? Not Kung Fu Ninja, Kung Fu Yoga.
Kung Fu, yeah.
Kung Fu Yoga. Kung Fu Yoga, it's like a mixture of Kung Fu and it has like yoga, Indian yoga.
Yeah, it's like India meets China, basically.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's a thing that should exist.
Well, but the fun part is that it's a total Indiana Jones tribute from Jackie Chan. And so there's tons of Indiana Jones references all throughout. But then it ends in a whole big Bali dance. Like everybody together.
That's awesome.
The villains, everyone is that what you're seeing here?
So spoilers, but you have to watch it anyway.
Okay. All right. You've won me over with Kung Fu Yoga.
Yeah. Oh, please watch it. It's funny.
Jackie Chan, he is so fun to watch. And that's, I feel like we need to do a Jackie Chan series on our other show, on the next Real Pete, because I haven't even heard of this one.
When did this come out, Kung Fu Yoga?
I would say, I think it was 2018 or maybe 2017, but it's
what?
recent.
It was within this last year that we watched it on Netflix. And it was, definitely watch it. It's fun. I mean, they even have a person on there named Jones, and they do a lot of Indiana Jones things too, and it's fun. We love Jackie Chan. So it was a fun movie.
Two mismatched archaeologists battle a team of vicious mercenaries in a race to discover an ancient Tibetan treasure of unimaginable worth. 2017. What is Jackie? He's amazing. Force of nature, Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
It's one of those movies where we're watching it, we're like, this is just Indiana Jones. And we're like, what's going on? And then in the movie, Jackie Chan goes, I like Indiana Jones. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good.
I totally have to watch that now.
Sorry, back to Iron Man.
Yeah, back to Iron Man. So where were we? Abu has just been used as chum in the water for the civilians of musical Gulmira, and Iron Man offers him a sacrifice. And then we get to see him scanning the city for his weapons, which I think shows like this is what he's targeting, right? He's looking at the Jericho missiles. It comes by quickly, but if you look at the on-screen display in his HUD, he's got a reticle that comes up and it shows him the missiles. It has the PDF that we've seen with the very, 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 very tiny print. It's like the
lots of information to read quickly.
Yes. How would he possibly read that? But I love that it's there. Mm-hmm. And then boom, he's knocked out of the sky.
And we do see, I love when we get to see the HUD and see all the information in it. The information, it looks like body information with the suit over on the far right before the Jericho information starts popping up. You get the flight information as far as the horizon line, and then you get to see how fast he's going. He's going, in the Mach 0.15 to 0.17 range, which looks to be, I know I wrote it down here somewhere. It's about 115 miles per hour. So he's zipping across the sky from the outskirts of Gulmira over to Gulmira proper so that he can take out these weapons.
What I love so much, the you mentioned the body information, that kind of circle up in the top right. There's this app on the iPad called Concepts, and it's this infinite canvas drawing app. And the tool palette of this app, like where you choose your pencil, your brush, your eraser, whatever, it looks exactly like this to me. And so I like thinking that he's got this palette that he kind of spins around and he's like, what am I going to do in my heads-up display today? I think I will choose the brush tool, and I will do this in like a file browser. And I really enjoy that level of intimacy right before the loop opens up and we see him zoom in on those missiles.
Yeah.
Well, and then bonk, right? When we get that sort of tin can sound as he's hit with something that doesn't actually explode. It's more like concussive, and he falls out of the sky and the music cuts out. And that was more of that sort of hero music as he flew away. And then it goes to no score for the next little bit.
That's something that Favreau's played with quite a bit, just to kind of build his humor moments. He'll cut the score because it sounds so heroic. You've got this music, just this driving guitar representing kind of Iron Man, hero, flying through the sky, saving civilians from terrorists. And then, boom, he's hit with one hit from this tank. And it kind of kills that whole hero moment and just gives you a laugh moment. And I think that that's something Favreau and team play with quite well throughout the film to just kind of give you those things. Because if you look at the original test footage that the orphanage made for this sequence, this is kind of a sequence that they did for their original test. It totally looks just like this. It's really interesting. But when Tony, as Iron Man, is flying through the sky, there are artillery rounds going off all around him as he's flying through the sky. It's not just one hit. Like he's flying through a whole swarm of blasts, and he finally gets hit by one. So, which I think may feel a little more realistic in kind of a wartime attack sort of thing. I think the fact that he just did the one hit is just pure Favreau comedy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't want to linger on that too long on the orphanage test footage. As cool as it is, it's amazing. But we get a whole different approach to his flight, right? The flight that we have for him in this sequence is like he's straight as a missile, right? He's just moving, cutting through the air. And in this one, he's almost sort of like when he slows down, we get the sense that he's almost like parachuting, right? He's got his hands out kind of forward to really stabilize him. When he says these are his front stabilizers, that's I get the feeling that that's what this is from this test footage. It was an interesting way to go early on. I can't imagine that being it's much more decorative. I can't imagine that being kind of their overall strategy for showing him flying, but it's not quite as kinetic. But it certainly is balletic.
It's interesting that he didn't have any sensors to tell him when the missile was coming to hit him, that it blindsided him like that.
You think that, I guess it's one of those things. I mean, he's scanning specifically for the Jericho missiles. So, but I wonder if he just missed something on his, I guess I feel like we would see it on the HUD if it was picking something up that he just didn't notice, like a heat signature of a rocket or something, or the tank.
Yeah. And as far as the sound, the music cutting out, I was going to comment on that in previous minutes too. As soon as he had landed on the ground, first in the village, the music cut. And then, it did the same here after he was hit. And it really is dynamic. And I like it because you really notice the metal sounds and the whirring of the gears. And, it just really accentuates those sounds. I like it when they cut music sometimes. Like some of my favorite sound moments in The Lord of the Rings is when they cut the music and you can just hear like the Nazgul flying through the air, and stuff. You hear the wings flapping. It's just dynamic. And I like that.
It's Iron Man ASMR edition, right? Just get rid of all the mics or all the music, and all you get is close talking. I want to ask, as we see him come out of the hole in the ground, which is a fantastic blow. Like again, what is going on to his brain when he hits the ground quite that hard? But, all that notwithstanding, we had some complaints from Andy mostly about the CG-ness yesterday's minute, right, of the suit, that it was a little bit too CG. And I wonder how you feel about the CG-ness you guys, in this particular moment. This is a great hero moment, right? This is a great hero moment of him coming out of the ground, of him dodging a projectile, and of him, with his arm outstretched, retaliating. Does it look of the world?
That shot when they first show him crawling out of the hole, just his hand and then his head coming up, I think that is awesome. I think that is my favorite shot of this whole thing. Just the way he looks, the battle damage Iron Man, and it looks a little bit robotic after that, but I think that looks great. Just that one shot. That's all I would need is there's a teaser trailer showing that shot, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. Let's see this thing.
Oh yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
That shot always surprises me that it is CG, or because it looks so real when he's climbing out of the ground.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you look at the orphanage footage, right, of him climbing out of the ground, which looked not at all real. And this is to have gotten from there to here is an amazing leap of art and technology.
What's interesting about looking at that footage is how little changed, though, right? Like you have him climbing out of the hole. From the moment he's getting out of the hole to standing, the way the camera moves around him, the way that he dodges the shell that's shot at him, and then the way that he shoots, it all feels like the orphanage they nailed it with their initial tests, and all they had to do was kind of clean it up to make it look more realistic, and that was it.
Yeah, and the climb, right? It's weird, first of all, that his eyes aren't lit up in that footage. I think that's a really interesting thing, because I think the eye glow is one of the coolest bits of the of the sequence. But when he's first climbing out, it's like they even nailed sort of the physics, right? I mean, it just looks like a weighted natural object. It's a great point. Like they didn't, they had the bones of the thing from the very beginning.
And it would make sense if he looks more robotic at times, in the way that his body can't actually move and lift this thing. So it's not always going to look like a natural person walking, because the suit itself has to walk for him in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would imagine that's like responding to his movements and then like exerting the extra effort that it needs to actually move.
Right. But it's still like it's responding to that, and it's having to move for him. Yeah. It's gears that are walking for him.
It's like a mini Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was going all the way back to Aliens. Like this is every bit Ripley in the lifter, right? Like it's just, tighter fitting.
It's I love all of this, and once the sound cuts and you do have that he falls, he hits, he climbs out, the sound design is just so beautiful. Kind of the whisper of the wind blowing by, it feels very like there's this calm moment as basically he faces off with this tank, and it's so nicely done. I just love the way that plays out. You hear kind of that wind, and then just kind of his parts whirring, and you know that there's a lot of things happening inside this suit to kind of do what it's doing. And then, of course, you get the fantastic joke, big rocket, little rocket, which I think works really nicely. I mean, we don't get the payoff here, but you do get the tank blasting him. And I will acknowledge, I don't think that you would be able to see this thing zipping by you. I don't think he'd have time to move as well as he does, but it still is just cool to see. Like he does it so nicely, and then the way that his arm unfolds to reveal that little tiny rocket that he shoots, it looks so I don't know. It's just such a like David and Goliath type of joke that they're playing here that works so well for me.
Well, it totally works. What is the little rocket? I've always imagined that the rockets that were in his arm were the individual rockets that were put together in the Jericho. Is that, I've always really enjoyed that kind of in my headcanon, that he just takes all those apart and reuses them, and that's what blows up the tank.
Works for me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. According to the script, it's a mini missile pod. It's interesting in the script, it actually has, as Tony sees the tank, it switches to his HUD view, and it does a schematic overlay of the Stark designed tank, which is an interesting point that it's actually one of his. And then it says he identifies its weak spot. Then a forearm panel pops open on Tony's suit, revealing a mini missile pod. He fires, the missile nails the weak spot. A chain reaction, then the tank explodes, raining debris. I love that they don't include that. The fact that he just shoots this little missile without having to like identify the weak spot or anything, I feel like it makes the payoff so much stronger when it's done this way. Identifying the weak spot, all that. I mean, I get it. I can see why they would do that realistically, but I think it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah, you lose the joke.
Yeah.
I do like that concept, though. I do like how this plays out, but I do like that concept of, the bad guys are using his own weapons against him. Yeah, that's really not a great idea because he should know everything about it. He would know its weaknesses, but maybe throw that in some other scene or something, or have that contrast against the end where he's fighting against Stain and he doesn't know the weak spot because he didn't build that thing, or whatever. But
Right.
But if you're not going to play around with that, just do this joke just the way you did it in the movie, and it's more fun.
It's a lot more fun, and there's something about it that I feel like I just don't even need to know that, right? What my head is telling me is that the cannon in the tank is enormous and powerful and blunt, and his response is incisive. He doesn't even need to worry about it. All he needs to do is recognize that this little missile that he put together is powerful enough to pierce the metal of shell of this tank and then walk away. Like, that's all he needs to think about. And I really like that. It feels like much more sort of cavalier and feels much more akin to, who I know of Tony at this point in the film.
Plus, it lets you have that fantastic hero turn and walk away.
Which
right
is
at the very
amazing.
End.
My notes for that are in the next minute. So
Yeah, right.
Favreau was not thinking about the movies by minute craze when he did this movie, or else we would have gotten the resolution of this minute.
Right. I guess I don't have anything else. I guess we could save it and we can talk about that more tomorrow. You guys have anything else? Any other notes for this minute?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about Tony's well-being and his. There's got to be some amazing padding in that suit that we did not see in minute 76.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like mini airbags that go off when he lands,
Like
they
inflate and then deflate when he doesn't need them anymore or something.
Right.
Oh, it must be because it doesn't look that big around his head, to have a ton of padding. And we saw them put these metal plates around his head. So, yeah.
Well, they're very small. They're nano pads.
That
was the first. Yeah, we don't even need to worry about them.
Nano's always the magic word.
They are probably giving him a head massage in between time.
And building his abs.
Yeah. There we go. Problem solved.
Same stuff. All the same stuff.
Just imagine these little robot fingers just like rubbing my temples. Like, oh, that sounds nice.
Oh. Well, would you guys like to remind everyone where they can find you online, Jonathan and Tabitha?
Yeah, you can search for the UHS 60-second MySpace page, and maybe you'll find everything through there. I don't know. I think we've got some more work to do on that, or maybe we'll just never touch it again. I haven't really decided, but yeah,
it feels
UHS,
more true to form that you not touch it again.
I think so.
Just
too,
leave it right alone.
We're trying to do as much meta stuff as possible. So yeah, you'll find that on UHS60second.com, and any other crazy, silly things that we put on there. Just visit that page once in a while, and hopefully we'll have something new.
That's good. And you can find me on Twitter at Tabitha T. Rex. Sometimes I post things there, but you can shout at me there. And a podcast that I recently guested on was 5 Minutes of Mystery, where Dave talks about 5 minutes of the movie Mystery Men at a time. And so I was on a recent episode of that along with Jonathan. And so that was a lot of fun. It's a fun movie.
Did you get the fork guy in any of your minutes?
Yep.
Yes.
We had the
Blue
training.
Raja.
We had the whole training montage.
Yeah, we got the whole training, the introduction of the Sphinx, and then the whole training montage. So Disco Boys, and we had some fun minutes on that podcast as well.
Beautiful.
So 5 minutes of mystery.
It's beautiful.
Well, everybody check that one out. And that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the show for free at marvelmovieminute.com. Join us over in our Discord chat room and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Next Reel. And if you like what we do and you want to support us and get some cool stuff, become a patron over at patreon.com/thenextreel. Until next time, true believers.